Well, we're back, and the Israelis, they're stepping it up. They've conquered camping. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Israelis have conquered camping. Life on Mars, simulating Red Planet Base in Israeli desert. That's totally not Mossad doing this, but yeah, isn't that amazing that the Israeli desert looks just like the photos of Mars there? They kind of look eerily similar. Huh. Who would have thought we had these red deserts here on Earth? Imagine that. Okay, so it looks like they're wearing Lego outfits as like little Lego men. You know, this doesn't look like it was 1940s movie style stuff. This is what the Israelis got to make it look like spacemen. Apparently, they do not have the budget of Hollywood, but this is what we've got. Let's take a look at the article. A couple of trainee astronauts walk in their space suits during a training mission for planet Mars inside the crater, blah blah blah, in the Israeli desert. They call these the space suits that they're gonna go up to Mars. They're in. Okay. Inside the huge crater in Israeli sun-baked Negev desert, a team wearing spacesuits ventures forth on a mission to simulate conditions on Mars. The Austrian Space Forum has set up a pretend Martian base with Israeli Space Agency at Matesh Ramon, a 500-meter, 1,600-foot deep, wide crater. So, pretend Martian base? All right, check. They actually have told the truth in one point in this article. The participants from Austria, Germany, Israel, and Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain all had to pass grueling physical and psychological tests. Some of them weren't up for camping. During their mission, they will conduct tests, including drone prototype that functions without a GPS, on an automated wind and solar-powered mapping vehicles. Wow, that sounds really, really high-tech. Really high-tech. Mission will also aim to study human behavior and the effect of isolation on the astronauts. Yeah, nobody has done that before. No one studied the effects of isolation. Right. We do have prisons, right? The group's cohesion and their ability to work together are crucial for surviving on Mars, right? Crucial. Their ability to work together and their cohesion. The Austrian Space Forum, a private organization made up of aerospace specialists, has already organized 12 missions, the most recent in Oman in 2018. They organized 12 missions of what? Camping. It's camping in the desert. Wow. The old Israeli, they call that a space program. It's a tent in the desert. It's a tent in the desert. Looks pretty high-tech, doesn't it? Pretty high-tech. The Israeli project is part of a mission which is expected to kick off last year, but was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me get this straight. These guys are studying the effects of isolation in an isolation tent while wearing space suits that protect them from everything outside, but they were shut down due to Cooties. And people believe that we take little boats and we go out into space in them. In this thing with there's no atmosphere up there, and there's negative pressure as such as to being like 1,000 feet underwater in a sub. Probably even more so. Okay. Whatever you say, Mossad. Whatever you say. That's a spacesuit. That's a spacesuit. NASA envisions the first human mission to Mars will launch in 2030. Boy, that old date just keeps creeping up. You know what would be cool? If they actually made it out of low Earth orbit, so they say, and you know, and it's funny, you look up where space begins. We'll do it in a minute, but they can't quite figure out where space is. They just figure that the atmosphere just goes out for like 2,000, 100,000 bajillion miles outside of the Earth, quote unquote, where we live atmosphere. So they don't want to make any bold claims, which again then begs the question: how does the atmosphere stick to the planet with no little container there? I wonder. So this is their little rover, of course, because you know you have to have a car Nothing says you're successful like going to an alien world and you have to bring your car with you. This is not a Tesla, but you have to bring an electric car. And yeah, this thing doesn't look like it weighs a ton. Sure. Let's bring the car. And we have to have a place to put our golf clubs while we go caddyshack around Mars. Right. That's what we need to do. What we are doing here is preparing for a large mission, the largest voyage our society has ever taken, as Mars and Earth are 380 million kilometers apart at their extreme point. I believe the very first human to walk on Mars is already born, and we are the shipbuilders to enable this journey. Oh, what a load of crap. Israel's got to get on the game because, they kind of like their fibbing and their tails and that little group of people. How high is space? I always say, when they say that they go to space, these astronauts, when they say they go to space, how high are they doing? Are they lying when they say they're going to space? No, they're telling the truth, because the atmosphere, technically, once you're above like 100,000 feet, it's considered space, even though things like a U-2 spy plane can fly up that high. But it's technically space. You got to wear a space suit, so they call it a space suit. They call it a high altitude, whatever. But that's technically space. Okay, so how high is space? Most commercial airplanes can't fly beyond 28 to 35,000 feet because of air density. How high do you have to go to be in space? Officially, there is no definite boundary where space starts. There is no definite. I thought we go up there all the time. There is a limit, and if you crossed it, you would have entered space, at least officially. Okay, well, where is it? We're just asking for an altitude, right? This boundary is known as the Kármán line. How high is the Kármán line? Thermosphere? No, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. Where's the Kármán line? I don't see the Kármán line. It says Kármán line is near the bottom of the thermosphere. Okay. Where's that? It says 100 kilometers. So what is that? 120 miles up? Interesting. The Kármán line is an imaginary boundary that lies 100 kilometers above Earth. Yeah, there we go. And is widely considered the boundary between outer space and Earth's atmosphere. The line owes its name to Theodor von Kármán, a Hungarian-American physicist who was the first to determine that around this altitude, the atmosphere became too thin to support aeronautical flights. I'm guessing this guy made that discovery in like 1800. I don't know for sure. We can look up. I actually want to look this guy up and see. Let's look this guy up and see. I have a sneaky suspicion. Theodor von Kármán. Oh, he lived until, he lived from 1881 until 1963, which, ladies and gentlemen, was before we landed on the moon and before the real big space race was going. Allegedly, could it be? But we're naming the Kármán line after him. Excellent. Right. So we have no idea, okay? We have no idea. What we do know is that according to photographic evidence and what they say at the time, is they launched some V-2 rockets, and the very first pic from space, very first, this rocket went up 60 miles, which is around 300,000 feet. So they say. Could be true. Not sure. But they say it's 300,000 feet, and if you notice this picture taken from a 35mm camera, this is flat. Okay, there is no curvature that you can see. From the 35mm camera, no fisheye lenses, no nothing, and you can even see a star or something, planet, whatever, in the distance. and modern day cameras can't pick up nothing. Imagine that. Imagine that. So, around 300,000 feet up, this is what she looks like in a V2 rocket. Personally, I don't believe they could ever get a rocket that high, but I don't know. Them Germans. So I thought I would take a look at the Israeli space program. That looks legit. Does it not look legit? I mean, this awesome solar panel here has got to keep this big thruster thing down here powered for a long time. Yeah. So anyways, I decided I just put in Israeli shuttlecraft or spacecraft in the old search, and I get this artistic renderings of things that could potentially maybe go somewhere. This is a picture of something. They say, yeah, this is gonna work. That's what they say. Just throwing it out there that these don't look like they have enough thrust to do much, but you know, they got Elon Musk technology where we can levitate water heaters like this. And Israeli's moon bid already a winner is the article that this picture comes from. I'm sure it's a winner. So beyond their phony spacecraft artist renderings, we have a lot of Star Trek in the pictures, and I think that's legit. So their space program of all the pictures is just Google or Binged. This is Binged images of everything you can possibly get that has anything to do with Israeli spacecraft. We got this one thing here, and then an artist picture of something. We got the Ferengi or something, the Romulans. Oh yeah, here we go. We have the shuttlecraft. Boy, I wonder when you look up Israeli spacecraft and they show a blue screen and a model, I wonder if Mossad is tipping you off a little bit. You think? Or when they show stuff like this, you think they're tipping you off maybe just a little bit? Yeah, it says Israeli spacecraft fails to make first private lunar landing. They supposedly land this thing because, you know, everyone's got to land something somewhere. Keep the public involved. Here we go. Israelis Bereshit spacecraft crashes into moon during landing attempt. So she says, artist rendering and depiction, of course. Nothing is complete without that. So this thing crashed, and when you look at what it is, how it was funded and where it's going, you find out that right here it says, the story begins in 2011 when the non-profit organization Space IL formed to complete the Google Lunar X Prize. GLXP offered $20 million to the first privately funded team to put a robot down safely on the moon, move it at least 1,650 feet on the lunar surface, and have it send a high-resolution imagery home from Earth. So this is for $20 million, okay? So I want you guys to think about the amounts of money that's involved in this. $20 million doesn't really buy you that good of a yacht anymore. Okay? They're offering $20 million to, like, seriously put something, go out past low Earth orbit and put something down on the moon. 260,000 for 400,000 miles away. I don't remember. Long ways away. And you're going to give you $20 million to do that. You couldn't even put the team together for $20 million to do anything. And then if you win, you would pocket $5 million. What? So, does this seem plausible or a believable story? It seems like this story was written like in 1990, maybe, where $20 million would seem like a lot of money at the time. What seems more plausible in this instance is that Google gave them $20 million to fake it convincingly. And then if they did it convincingly, they would win the contract to be the video producers for Israel, and they would be on retainer with the $5 million. Is what it appears is more of a plausible thing, because there's no way you're launching a rocket to go to the moon with a rover on it for $20 million. What are you going to build this thing out of? The entire thing is absolutely pathetically laughable. Pathetically laughable. And of course they crashed it, so then they don't have to ever revisit it, right? But they can collect money for this. They can fundraise through the whole thing, I'm sure. And we go, Theodore von Karman. He knows that Karman line is up there. He knows that's up there at the 100 kilometers. He looks like an honest guy. He knows he's been there. He has real vivid dreams. So anyways, that is what we got about camping in Israel. With a couple of little space cadets and astro definitely nots. We have not been even up into space. So they say, according to NASA themselves. Don Pettit and a whole host of other people involved in the supposed moon. We're going to revisit the moon. We just got to figure out how to get past that low Earth orbit. Right? Videos all over YouTube of actual NASA people explaining this. But here's Israel. They're not going to be left behind. They watched old China make a terrible production of landing supposedly on Mars. And they're going to do it too. They're going to do it too. And their Lego Man outfits. And pretend it's 1950s again with a little sparkler sparking away outside of the rocket models and that are on a stick in front of a blue screen. And yeah, that's how they're going to do it. Well, good luck to Israel. And with that, guys, we're going to be out of here.